That's exactly how it felt for Noah Grant, a 16-year-old from Cedar Valley, Colorado, a quiet town tucked between the mountains and the endless sprawl of suburbia. Noah was the kind of kid everyone liked but no one truly understood. He was smart, curious, and full of ideas, but never seemed to finish anything. One week he wanted to build an app. The next he dreamed of filming documentaries. His parents hoped he'd become an engineer. His friends told him to chill and just play basketball. And social media? It screamed that success meant doing everything at once. So Noah tried. He said yes to everyone, joined too many clubs, chased too many goals, tried to please too many people. And in trying to live for everyone else, he slowly stopped living for himself. He'd sit down to study, open his laptop, and within minutes he'd be gone, scrolling, comparing, drifting into the endless sea of everyone else's lives. Days blurred together. His grades slipped. At night, he'd stare at the ceiling, whispering to himself, "Why do I feel like I'm running but not moving anywhere?" His parents thought he was lazy. His teachers thought he wasn't trying. But deep down, Noah was trying, just not in the right direction. He was trying to meet expectations that were never his to begin with. One afternoon, after another failed quiz, Noah stayed late in the empty school hallway. The lights buzzed softly above, and lockers echoed in the silence. That's when a calm voice called from behind him. "Rough day?" Noah turned around. It was Mr. Lawson, the old literature teacher. Quiet, kind, the kind of man who saw things others didn't. "Yeah," Noah muttered, trying to sound casual. "Guess I'm just not cut out for this school stuff." Mr. Lawson smiled, leaning against the doorframe. "Maybe it's not about school, Noah. Maybe it's about focus." Noah frowned. "Focus?" "You're carrying too many voices in your head," the teacher said softly. "You're trying to be what everyone wants. That's not focus, that's noise." Mr. Lawson paused, his eyes steady. "Come to my workshop after school tomorrow. I want to show you something." Noah hesitated, but something about the teacher's tone, calm yet confident, stuck with him. He nodded. That night, Noah scrolled through his phone again, seeing endless posts of classmates, smiling, traveling, achieving. He felt smaller with every swipe. When he finally fell asleep, his mind was a storm of what-ifs and not-enoughs. The next day after class, Noah walked to the back of the school, to the small wooden shed Mr. Lawson called his workshop. Inside, the walls were lined with books, old paintings, and quotes scribbled on sticky notes. There was a peaceful silence, the kind that made you feel like time had slowed down. Mr. Lawson stood at a small table holding something, a glass bowl filled to the brim with water. "Take this," he said, "and walk to the end of the hallway and back, but don't spill a single drop." Noah blinked. "Seriously?" "Seriously," Mr. Lawson replied. "Go on." Noah took the bowl carefully. The hallway seemed endless now. Every footstep echoed. His hands trembled. Halfway down, a student slammed the locker nearby. The sound startled him, and water splashed out. By the time he returned, half the bowl was empty. Mr. Lawson simply nodded. "This," he said, pointing to the bowl, "is your mind. Every time you let distractions, opinions, and noise in, you spill a little bit of what truly matters." Noah stared at the bowl, silent. "Try again tomorrow," Mr. Lawson said. "But this time, don't listen to the noise." Rain tapped lightly against the classroom windows as Noah Grant stepped back into Mr. Lawson's workshop. The same bowl sat on the table, still filled to the brim. The air smelled faintly of old books and cedar wood. Mr. Lawson greeted him with a smile. "Back again, Noah?" "Yeah," Noah said, rubbing his palms nervously. "I've been thinking about what you said." "Good," Mr. Lawson replied. "Then you're ready. Same challenge. Walk down the hall and back. Don't spill a drop." This time, Noah took a deep breath before lifting the bowl. The water shimmered, smooth as glass. He stepped into the hallway. It was quiet. Only the soft hum of the lights and the distant patter of rain. Each step felt deliberate. He didn't look left or right. He didn't think about the noise, the pressure, the opinions. He only thought about the water. When he returned, just 1 or 2 drops had escaped. Mr. Lawson's eyes sparkled. Better. You see, Noah, focus isn't about blocking the world out. It's about choosing what deserves your attention. He set the bowl down gently, then leaned forward. The world will always shout. But when you listen to everything, you hear nothing. Noah nodded slowly. Something was sinking in. Something deeper than words. That week, Noah started changing small things. He began leaving his phone in another room while studying. He stopped checking notifications every 5 minutes. He even told his friends he couldn't hang out on school nights. At first they laughed. Bro, come on. You're acting like an old man. You can't just disconnect from life, dude. But Noah wasn't disconnecting. He was finally connecting with himself. For the first time in months, he sat down to study and actually learned. He wasn't just reading words, he was absorbing them. He wasn't chasing grades, he was chasing clarity. And slowly, something inside him shifted. The anxiety that had once filled his chest began to quiet down. He could finally breathe again. One evening, while working on a history paper, Noah's mom peeked into his room. "You've been in here for hours, honey. Everything okay?" "Yeah," Noah smiled, surprising even himself. "I'm just focused." She nodded, a bit stunned. It had been a long time since she'd seen him that peaceful. A few weeks passed. Noah's grades started climbing. Teachers noticed. His friends were curious. But the biggest change wasn't in his report card. It was in his eyes. There was a calmness there now, a quiet certainty that hadn't been there before. He began waking up earlier, sometimes just to sit outside and watch the sunrise before school. He journaled in the mornings, listing 3 things he wanted to focus on each day. And at night, he'd write down what he learned, not from books, but from life itself. Mr. Lawson noticed too. "You found your rhythm," he said one afternoon as they stood by the window of the workshop. "Yeah," Noah said softly. "It feels good. Different." Mr. Lawson smiled. "That's what happens when you stop living for others. You make room to discover who you really are." But life, as always, tests every lesson it teaches. A month later, Noah's friends convinced him to go to a weekend party. Just to relax, they said. Music blasted. People shouted. Everyone was filming, posting, trying to prove how much fun they were having. At first, Noah joined in. But halfway through, standing there under flashing lights, he felt hollow again. Everyone was smiling, but none of it felt real. He stepped outside for air. The night was quiet now. The stars hung above the mountain ridge like distant fires. He thought about his bowl of water, about how easily it could spill if he wasn't careful. "What am I doing?" he whispered. In that moment, he realized something powerful. He wasn't just fighting distractions anymore. He was fighting the pressure to perform for the world, to keep proving he was enough. He didn't need to. Noah turned off his phone and walked home early. It wasn't rebellion, it was clarity. The next morning he visited Mr. Lawson again. "You were right," he said. "The noise never stops. But now I know I don't have to listen." Mr. Lawson smiled knowingly. "Then you're ready for the next part of the lesson." He walked to a shelf and pulled out a small, worn notebook. Its cover was cracked, the pages filled with neat handwriting. "This belonged to my teacher," he said, handing it to Noah. "Inside are the 4 principles of focus. Study them, practice them, live them." Inside, in faded ink, were 4 short rules. Guard your thoughts. Don't let the mind wander to places that drain you. Build your routine. Discipline creates freedom. Eliminate noise. Simplicity breeds clarity. Repeat daily. Focus is a muscle. Train it every day. Mr. Lawson looked at him and said quietly, "The secret to life isn't doing more, Noah. It's giving more of yourself to what truly matters." That night, Noah wrote those 4 rules on a piece of paper and taped it above his desk. Every morning, he read them. Every night, he lived by them. Slowly, his focus became his superpower. He wasn't perfect. He still got distracted sometimes, still doubted himself, but he never stayed lost for long. He had a compass now, weeks turned into months. And when the day of the final exams arrived, Noah didn't panic like before. He studied with calm confidence, consistent, prepared, grounded. As he walked into the classroom, he whispered to himself, "Keep your eyes on the water." He sat, breathed deeply, and wrote like the world had gone silent. When the results came, Noah didn't just pass. He ranked among the top students in the school. But the real victory wasn't the score. It was knowing that he'd finally learned to live for himself, not for others. Years passed. The snow still fell quietly over Cedar Valley, but the boy who once stared at ceilings and scrolled through endless screens was gone. Noah Grant was now 28. He lived in a small apartment overlooking the same mountains that framed his childhood. The walls were filled with books, sketches, and old photographs, each one a reminder of the journey that shaped him. He had become what most would call successful, a creative strategist for a growing company, a sought-after mentor for students in the community, and a speaker who gave talks about discipline, clarity, and mental focus. But to Noah, the true success wasn't in the title or the paycheck. It was in the peace he carried, the stillness that came from knowing who he was and who he no longer needed to be. One cold Friday afternoon, Noah drove back to his old high school. The building looked smaller than he remembered. He parked near the same row of lockers he used to hide behind after bad tests. Walking through the hallways felt like stepping into a memory, echoes of laughter, footsteps, whispered dreams. In the teacher's lounge sat a framed photo of Mr. Lawson. He had passed away 2 years earlier after a long, quiet retirement. Noah's eyes softened. He still remembered that gentle voice, that steady presence, and the bowl of water that changed everything. That evening, Noah stood before a small group of students in the school auditorium. They had gathered for a weekend workshop on finding focus in a distracted world. He took a deep breath, scanning the faces, anxious, restless, uncertain. They reminded him of himself years ago. On the table beside him sat a glass bowl filled to the brim with water. The students glanced at it curiously. Noah smiled. "When I was your age," he began, "I thought success meant being everything to everyone. I tried to please my parents, impress my teachers, keep up with friends, and live up to strangers on the internet. I was doing everything except living my own life." He lifted the bowl gently. The water shimmered under the lights. "Then one day, my teacher, Mr. Lawson, gave me this simple challenge. He told me to carry a bowl of water down the hallway without spilling a drop. I failed miserably the first time. But when I tried again, when I stopped listening to the noise around me and focused only on what was in front of me, I finally made it back." He paused, setting the bowl down carefully. "That day, I learned something I'll never forget. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most with your full attention." The room was silent. Even the air felt still. Noah looked around, his voice lowering. "Every one of you is holding an invisible bowl. It carries your goals, your dreams, your peace of mind. But every time you let distractions, comparisons, and fear steal your attention, you spill a little bit of that water. And one day, you look down and realize the bowl is empty. And so are you." He leaned forward slightly, his tone soft but clear. "So stop living for others. Stop chasing likes, approval, validation. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs you, focused, steady, present." A girl in the front row raised her hand. "But what if people think you've changed? What if they stop liking you?" Noah smiled gently. "They probably will, because when you stop living for others, you stop fitting into the boxes they built for you. But that's okay. Growth always looks like loss at first." The students nodded, some quietly wiping their eyes. Noah continued, "Your focus is your freedom. When you learn to guard it, you stop being pulled by the noise of the world and start being guided by your own inner compass." After the session ended, more students lingered. They wanted to see the bowl, to ask more questions. One boy, shy and thoughtful, waited until everyone left. He walked up to Noah and said, "I think I'm like you were. I get distracted easily. I can't stay focused on anything." Noah smiled. That's okay. You're just carrying too many voices. Let's quiet them down. He filled the bowl again with water from a nearby bottle and handed it to the boy. Take this, he said. Walk to the back of the room and come back without spilling. The boy looked nervous, but he tried. Halfway through, laughter from the hallway startled him. Water sloshed over the edge. When he returned, Noah looked at the half-empty bowl and said softly, "See this? This is your mind right now. Distracted, overstretched, trying to please too many people." Then he refilled it. "Now, try again. Focus only on the water." This time, the boy walked slowly, steady. When he returned, barely a drop had spilled. Noah's eyes warmed. "That's it. You just learned more in 5 minutes than most people learn in 5 years." The boy smiled, understanding something words alone could never teach. That night, as the gym lights dimmed and everyone left, Noah sat alone in the quiet. He looked down at the bowl still resting in his hands, the same kind Mr. Lawson had once given him. He whispered into the silence, "Thank you, Mr. Lawson. The circle's complete." He thought about how far he had come. The boy who once chased approval had grown into a man who gave purpose. The student had become the teacher. He stood, placed the bowl gently back on the table, and turned off the lights. Outside, the snow was still falling, soft, endless, beautiful. Each flake, a symbol of focus, landing exactly where it was meant to. A few weeks later, one of the students sent Noah an email. It read, "Mr. Grant, I stopped trying to make everyone happy. I started focusing on my art. For the first time, I feel like I'm doing something that's really me. Thank you for the lesson." Noah smiled as he read it. He closed his laptop, took a deep breath, and looked out the window at the mountains bathed in golden morning light. He whispered the same words he had told his students. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. He picked up his journal and wrote one final line for the day. The power of focus is the power to live freely. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.